Hello everyone. I'd like to talk about a confusing subject in math that has to do with square roots and negative signs. First, let's take a look at this. If I write the square root of 36, the answer to this is 6, positive 6. The reason is because this square root symbol means the principal square root, which means that it is the positive square root. It is incorrect to say that the square root of 36 equals plus or minus 6. That is incorrect. Wrong, 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 wrong. I know people write it all the time. People say it, but that is technically incorrect, because this square root sign means only a positive number. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that we're looking at this problem. Y squared equals 36. So what we do is we take the square root of both sides, right? So this becomes y equals, follow me here, plus or minus root 36. So y equals plus or minus 6. You'll notice that I put my plus or minus sign outside of my principal square root sign, right? So when I took this, when I took the square root of this side of the equation, that meant that I automatically put this plus minus over here. Let's do another example. Let's say that I said that we had x squared equals 81. My next step would be to say that x equals plus or minus the square root of 81. Again, when I simplify this, when I take the square root of this side, I plop a plus or minus on this side outside of the principal square root sign. So I get x equals plus or minus 9. Let's do one more example. What if I said that f squared equals 25? So my next step would be to take the square root of this side, so that's f, equals plus or minus the square root of this side. So f equals plus or minus 5. All of that is correct. If all I write down, however, is the square root of 49, my answer is only positive 7, because this does not say I'm taking plus or minus the principal root of 49. It just says the principal root of 49. I know it is very confusing, but I want you to remember that if you only see this symbol, that means that your answer is only going to be positive. Now, let's talk about negative numbers for just a second. Let's say that I know that the square root of x equals some number y. Okay? The square root of x equals some number y. So you could maybe think of this as the square root of 16 equals 4, right? There are two places that you could try to throw in a square root. I mean a negative sign. There's two places that you could throw in a negative sign. One is you could try to throw one in there, and the other one is you could try to throw one in here. If you put negative signs in either of those places, very different things happen. Let me show you. So let's say that I say that the square root of 16 equals negative 4. Is that correct? No. Remember, we discussed how this symbol means that our answer has to be positive. It can never be that our answer is negative. So this is not allowed. Anytime you have anything underneath a radical sign, it can never equal a negative number. It cannot happen. It is impossible. Okay. The other option, however, is that you try to sneak a negative sign underneath your radical. So you would have a negative 16, for instance. What does that equal? Well, this is where algebra gets fun, because this actually becomes a radical 16 times a radical negative 1. And we actually have made this into a number. It is the number I, and it means the square root of negative 1. It is what's called an imaginary number. So the square root of negative 16 equals 4i, and that is legitimate. So you can handle a negative sign underneath a radical, but you cannot handle a radical sign equaling a negative number. Confusing, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to say it one more time. You can handle a negative number underneath a radical sign. You just have to use imaginary numbers. You cannot handle a radical sign equaling a negative number. Remember, this radical sign means principal square root, a positive square root. So this answer over here has to be positive.